The first words I learned in French were la mer qu'on voit danser. And I didn't know what they meant at first, but they were the first line in this French song that I listened to all the time. Back in 2016, my friend Anna had been helping me learn Spanish. And she knew I was interested in learning other languages too, so she asked me if I would be willing to learn French with her. I guess the idea was that we would both learn together and help motivate each other. But I was actually not interested in learning French at all at that time. I was actively learning Spanish, and I had been thinking maybe my next language would be Mandarin Chinese. In fact, I was actually planning an immersion trip to China so that I could practice Chinese for several months. But I did have an idea in the back of my mind that maybe at some point in the future I would start learning French, and so I thought maybe there's something we can do this year in 2016 that will be relatively low effort but help set me up for the future. And the idea that I came up with was we would both choose a song in French, which sounded relatively low effort because listening to music is something that I do for fun anyways. And Anna thought that sounded like a good idea, so she did a little bit of searching and she sent me a song called La Mer. And I found out later there's actually an even more popular English version of this song by Bobby Darin called Beyond the Sea, and they play it every time I go swing dancing, which is really fun. And I was a little bit surprised that Anna had chosen such an old song, but I liked it. The song is neat, it's kind of charming, and so I listened to it a lot that year. But I didn't look up the words right away. I actually was a little bit overconfident with my own ability to interpret French just based off of my knowledge of Spanish and some other languages. Well, I recognized la from Spanish, and then I was able to figure out that mer probably meant mar, which is the word for sea. And then I heard the word con, which sounds a lot like the Spanish word for with. And I knew that some Latin languages have a V word for the second person pronoun, which French actually does have, but it's vous, not voi. And then danser I guessed correctly because English. But the final result was that I thought qu'on voit danser meant with you to dance, which sounded very poetic to me. Eventually, I looked up the words and found out that I was very wrong with my understanding of this line. A few months later, I sent Anna a song that I had found in French that I actually really liked a lot, and it was called Un peu plus près des étoiles by Gold. And for some reason, listening to these two songs in French inspired me just to dabble in French a little bit more with Duolingo and Memrise. And I started realizing that a lot of the vocabulary I was learning on Duolingo and Memrise, I already knew based off of these two songs that I had learned earlier in the year. And that song helped me engage in French-speaking culture as well, because that summer I didn't have anything going on and I didn't have a whole lot of money, so I decided for fun, I would hitchhike to Montreal. Merci beaucoup. Où est-ce que vous allez?
Je m'en vais à Saint-Chuc, mais je vis à Saint-Hélène.
Ok, merci. Désolé, mon français c'est pas très bon, mais je vais apprendre. And then while I was there, I did a lot of couch surfing, which helps me to meet new people and make friends. And I remember I was just humming the words to Un peu plus près des étoiles, and someone heard that and recognized it. I guess it might be kind of parallel to if you heard a foreigner humming Don't Stop Believing, and then you're like, hey, how did you learn that song? It's not totally the same because it's a lot more common for non-native English speakers to learn English songs, but that's sort of the idea that I got. I just thought it was really cool that having learned this random song in French helped spark a conversation that I was able to have in French with a native French speaker. And it's really funny because I just listened to this song again for the first time probably in years because I wanted to listen to it to help me prepare for this video. And as soon as I heard the intro to that song, it brought me immediately right back to 2016. It reminded me of the friends that I was hanging out with that summer, the places that I went. It reminded me of driving around in my red Ford Ranger. I started growing out my hair later that year in order to donate it to Locks of Love. And I was also doing this really funny thing where I would pick up any old TVs that I saw people throw out in front of their house, like on the side of the road. And I would pick up these TVs and I would take them home and take them apart so that I could sell the copper coils for scrap metal. I only made like $2 an hour doing that, but it was fun and it's kind of a funny memory to look back on. And all of these memories came rushing back just from hearing a song, which you've probably experienced before if you have any specific song that is tied to a certain situation or place or time in your mind. And I think that just might be a testament to the power of music in language learning. For example, I haven't watched the TV show Arthur since probably the year 2000, but I can still sing you the entire theme song to that show. And I imagine if you're hanging out with basically any 90s kid from North America and you just randomly start singing, "Every day when you're walking down the street," they'll probably jump right in and join you. "And everybody that you meet has an original point of view." And I don't really understand why it's so hard to memorize vocabulary and sentence structures and grammar in your target language, but somehow we're able to remember song lyrics after not hearing them for years and years and years. And honestly, I think it's kind of a shame that we don't promote music more in the language learning community. I don't know how long they've been doing this, so maybe I've just been kind of in the dark for years, but I just realized last month that Spotify now allows you to swipe up on a song and you'll be able to see the lyrics as they're playing in the song. And that's been really helpful for me because I've been using Spotify to learn Thai ever since I came back here to Thailand. If you want to see some of the songs that I started using to learn French, you can click here. And if you want to see some of the songs I use to learn Thai, click here. And as usual, go into the world and learn that language.